Ahoy VC, welcome to the Personal Oasis. This is the Blind Island, and thank you for tuning in. I am your host Isaac, and today I'm going to be going on a bit of a thread. As most of you who have been following my channel are probably aware, I'm a huge surf music fan, and my favorite lady over at the Vinyl Guru did a little video about surf music, and I'm going to include a link to her video below, but I wanted to show off my surf collection and kind of to follow into that, and since it's summer, it's time to do it, and I've always wanted to share kind of this sort of video, so why not? And also, this is a mini celebration of sorts because I stepped away from YouTube for a few days, and over that period of time, I succeeded over 200 subscribers, and I can't believe it. You know, I've been doing this for about 6 months now, and it's amazing how the people I've met here and the growth that's happened. It's really wonderful. I just want to thank you guys so much for following my channel, for every subscriber, and for every view. You guys make me want to keep coming on back and plugging into this great community that we have. So thank you so very much. Now let's get on to the records. So first I have the Impacts Wipeout. This is from the legendary Delphi label, and you'll be seeing that one pop up a lot more. It's actually what I have playing on my turntable right now. Fantastic record. Not very well known version of Wipeout. They actually were the ones who wrote the song, and then the Safaris took it, sped it up a bit, and added the vocalization to create that version that we all know and love. But this slowed down approach is really, really nice. Great sax driven surf rock right here. Then next I have probably my favorite surf album of all time, Surf Rider by the Lively Ones. The Lively Ones were right there with Dick Dale bringing the surf scene to those bars and beaches within California. Really, really hot, great material that's on here. All of the big surf tunes that you've probably heard from Quentin Tarantino movies are found right here on this album, and I highly recommend that you seek this one out. It was featured in my top 100, and here it is today. And then I have another one by the Lively Ones. We've got Surf City. This is more of a mashing than the last album I showed you. It's not nearly as well thought out, and also a couple of the songs show back up on this record, so it has more of a compilation feel, but it's not as expensive as some of their other material, and if you can find it, I would highly recommend you pick it up. Next, I have Surfer's Holiday by the Neptunes. This was one of my earliest reviews here on the channel, and it's from a group that was over on the East Coast. Very rare to get those type of surf bands, but more difficult record to find from my understanding. Still really, really wonderful, good stuff. I highly recommend you try and seek it out if you can. Then we have, you know, one of your bigger names here, The Ventures Surfing. Now, The Ventures to me never were a group that was a surf rock group per se. They were wonderful guitarist session men who brought the heat no matter what genre it was. And when they took on the surf genre, that never changed. They had that big, giant, bombastic sound, and that the song Out of Limits was originally done by these guys right here under the name Sputnik. great tune, and the Ventures are just top quality, top tier instrument guitarists. You guys need to check them out, no matter what album. They're always super cheap. This one is still like only $5-7. You should really pick it up if you're wanting to start your surf collection. You could start at a lot worse places than here. Then I have the Tornadoes Bustin' Surfboards. It's a classic tune with, brought to the front by Quentin Tarantino, and there are lots of really great songs on here. They're quintessential garage surf band, and they do have a couple of vocal tracks on here. Some really work, some not so much. My personal favorite deep cut on here is their Bumblebee Stomp. Really worth listening to. Go and stream it if you are a little shaky on buying it. Original copies can cost quite a bit, but Sundays came out with a reissue not too long ago. That was pretty wonderful. So really good stuff. And then here's another one that you can usually find anywhere for pretty cheap, and that's the Safari's Wipeout. And there is actually a distinction between this version and the version that came out just a little bit of a year later. The Safari's original hit version of Wipeout, and then it would say other bands play. So apparently the Safari's only played Wipeout and Surfer Joe on here, and other groups played the other tunes. But this track listing and title doesn't let you know that. It's very interesting bit of trivia there for you. You can still find copies of these for around $5, and this is another really great place to just start off your surf collection. Then I have Surfin' with the Astronauts. The Astronauts were a Colorado group, so landlocked state doing surf rock music was really interesting. But they have one of the most gorgeous surf tunes of all time, Baja, with the glittering reverb-drenched guitars. It really does sound like they lived by the beach their entire lives. This one is also split in half that rock, half instrumental. The vocal tracks on here don't really work for me, but usually you can pick this one up again for like $3-5. Really worth picking up. This was one of my very first surf albums, actually, and still continues to be one of my favorites, and that's the Challengers' Go Sidewalk Surfin'. I really enjoy this album. It's really playful, they're hard-hitting, and I really love their version of Pipeline. The saxophone solo on there is just absolute shredding, and the back cover also includes a really funny graphic. I enjoy those old cartoons and the artwork that's included. Wonderful album, and yeah, by one of the big name groups of the surf rock movement. And then I have their debut album, Surf Beat, and this is a wonderful record, and their versions of Red River Rock, Bulldog, and Mr. Moto are really wonderful. I would highly recommend that you seek out a copy of this as soon as you possibly can. And I shared this one just recently in one of my recent finds, but I've got the Avalanche's Ski Surfin'. This is ski meets winter, kind of that dark, desolate, cold feeling of the mountain brought to you with drenched, reverbed guitars. Wonderful, winter-infused surf rock music. Interesting take. So Avalanche's Ski Surfin'. Then I have the New Dimensions Surfin' Bongos. This came off of the Sutton label, and the Sutton label was known for being kind of a cheapo value label. So they're a little bit difficult to come by. It's only 19 minutes long, but these boys on here, I think they were like 14, 15 years old. They're rocking hard, and their version of Church Key to me is probably the seminal version. Wonderful record, and I always found this cover to be so interesting. The same photo shoot was actually used for Sentinel's cover as well, and I found it so awkward that these like cougars were talking to 14-year-olds. A little strange choice, but I get it, sort of. So great album, and one worth seeking out. Then we come to the king of surf rock, Dick Dale and his Deltones. Surfer's Choice is usually the one where a lot of people like to get started. I find it to be kind of a hit and miss record. It doesn't have the version of Ms. Relu that we're all aware of and know and love. It's a little off balance with some of the vocal choices, but it still has his hard ripping guitar, and it's definitely worth seeking out and listening to. And then I also have, his drag album, Checkered Flag. Got this one for $1. I was super pleased by that. But to me, he never really had great success with his vocal crossover, except on the tune Grudge Run. On here, that's grungy, it's dirty, it's very much like the picture of him on this cover, just kind of covered in grease. You can feel that revving engine. Very, very, it actually feels like he's selling it to you and you're buying it. So, really great album by the king of surf rock. And then another seminal album for any surf fan is Pipeline by the Shantays. Pipeline is one of those, like Wipeout, where if you've heard it once, you've heard it a million times, and the original is hard to beat. These young men that came together and created this wonderful dripping sound of a wave coming over and barreling over into a pipeline is one of the best. And there is a lack of saxophone on this album, but what they do is they replace it with really nice light keys that work very well. So I highly recommend you check out the Shantays' Pipeline. And another cheap album, but one that I feel is very seminal, is the Marquettes' Out of Limits. It has that Twilight Zone space-infused feel to surf rock. The Marquettes were very similar to the Ventures in that they were session men, and I don't necessarily agree with the title of Marquettes. Everything they did was surf. It definitely was not, but these guys really brought the heat, and also the players of the Batman theme, really, really wonderful Hollywood guitarists, and their take on space surf on Out of Limits here, top tier, top quality. Then I have one of my favorite novelty albums is Trashmen, Surf and Bird, Minnesota group that really, again, if you've heard the title song, you know what I'm talking about. But it's so kooky, it's so strange, and then to go into some other hard-hitting, hard-stomping surf tunes, really, really wonderful record. If you can find a copy, they're usually running around $50 to $60, but really worth finding and checking out if you can find a copy. And another one on the more rare side is Soul Surfin' by the Rhythm Rockers, one of the earliest albums within the surf rock movement, and one of the most hard-hitting. I think that you can find a reissue of this for around $20, and it's also available to be streamed on Spotify, and it's one of my favorite surf albums, one that I've gone to ever since I purchased it and time again, and one that I've listened to even on streaming long before then. Highly recommended surf rock right here. And then we have the Defenders play the big ones. This is the Defenders kind of coming in, playing a lot of the big surf rock tunes of the time, and it's on red colored vinyl, and it's a really nice, wonderful record. I got this for about $4, but I think that it usually runs around 20. I'm not entirely sure, you have to look up on Discogs, but it's a really nice surf album to just be kicking back to. And this one I really enjoy. It's Surfin' Bongos with the title track by Preston Epps, and the rest of the tunes were by a group called the Bongo Teens, and they are just ripping it up with, and again, where the bongos are kind of more of the focus here. I think that it's a really fun concept, and one that really is just hitting hard. So, and I love that cover, just the really bold title, the picture that's found within the font, that black background really emphasizes that whole exotic feel to the record. Very nice album. And not all surf music is old. I have this contemporary album of Swami John Reyes and the Blind Shape Modern Surf Classics. I'm not going to talk about this too much. I've talked about it quite a lot on this channel, but still one that I highly recommend to anybody who's looking to get into something that's a little bit more on the punky version of surf rock. Then we have Surfin' Hootenanny by Al Casey, and I have the Pacific Blue colored vinyl that goes along with this. Just a really beautiful record, and Al Casey is just a guy who played that guitar and knew exactly how to get the notes out just right. Wonderful record, wonderful album. Then we have Big Surf by the Sentinels, another album where from the Delphi label, and I love these covers. I think that they're so wonderful. This is in my top 5 favorite surf rock covers, and just seeing these surfers going up against these waves really takes you to that place and location. Then I have finally Surfer Pajama Party by the Bruce Johnston surfing band. Bruce Johnston went on to be one of the Beach Boys, and this is a little bit more on the vocal side, but it really works as far as vocals are concerned. Wonderful surf rock album, really nice vocals, and Bruce is just bringing the heat here. So guys, that was my surf rock collection. What do you think of it? I know I didn't include any Beach Boys in here. I tried to keep it more to the instrumental than the vocal. I would have included Jan and Dean in there as well if that were the case. But what did you guys think of this surf rock collection? Any in here that you're really looking to find? Let me know in the comments below. And I hope you guys have a great day on your own personal oasis. Cheers.